do, most people will look at me and go, I think I know you from somewhere. I'll say, you just came through the line at Chick-fil-A the other day. I gave you your nuggets. So that's typically how it works. So if you recognize the face but can't figure out where, that's what I say. I get asked the question often, why run for school board? Haven't you seen what's happened all across the country in school board meetings? Haven't you seen what's happened even in our own district and some of the struggles that they've had, and some of the very difficult and very long meetings they've had? And my answer is pretty simple and very personal, very powerful to me, and that is, I believe I feel called, I feel led to do this. That's the short answer. The longer answer sort of goes like this. I graduated from Crown College, and when I graduated, I went to work into a ministry that I felt the Lord led us into, and that was youth ministry. And I worked for Pastor Clarence Sexton in the Temple Baptist Church, and as part of that ministry, I had the opportunity to lead the Teens for Christ Bible clubs. And we had clubs in every middle and high school in Knox County, as well as actually a number of boys and girls clubs in Knox County. And it's a real great opportunity to minister to the spiritual needs of students. From there, I spent a number of years in education, 8 years as a school administrator. And during that time, I really got to see how impressive it was, the influence that a teacher can have in the life of a young person. I watched what a quality education can do to the trajectory of a student when they get out of high school, and really had an opportunity in that way to serve the academic needs of students. And then for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been down the road here at Chick-fil-A, and have loved the opportunity I've had to work alongside in a totally different environment, in a different way, and serve the young people of Knox County. I've interviewed thousands of them. I did the math the other day just to make sure I wasn't political speak, I wasn't exaggerating. Just a little under 2,000 interviews in the last several years, in the last 7 or 8 years. And I think we hire the best of the best. And I'm truly blessed with the people I get to work with. But even the hundreds that I have had the opportunity to work with, I've watched some of their struggles. You see some that struggle with even the simple things like counting change, or I've had opportunities. I taught some math when I was in education, and I enjoyed that. And so I've tutored in math and some algebra and calculus and some of those things that they have struggles with. I've sat with them as they filled out scholarship applications. Chick-fil-A offers a couple different scholarships, and just kind of walking them through that process. I've thought, my wife and I thought, boy, I wish I could get to them before they turn 14, 15, 16 and are coming to me to get their first job. I wish I had a chance to make an impact on them even before they get to me as a career. And so Patty decided not to run, and that door came open, and my wife and I spent some time in prayer, and I just honestly believe that this is just a natural next step in what I have felt called to do all my life, and that is minister and serve young people. The second question I get often asked is, what are you going to do on school board? What are you going to accomplish? Well, what I've done my whole life is as I've served in those various areas that I've ministered to students, I've served students, and really my filter in everything that I have the opportunity to vote on, or policies I have an opportunity to bring to the table, will really be around what is best for the students of Knox County. What will make the greatest difference in their education and their career path going forward. I will stand with the families of Knox County. I don't feel like it's my responsibility, the school's responsibility, the school board's responsibility to take over the education of your children, but to come alongside and assist you as you try to prepare your students, prepare your children for whatever lies ahead in career or community and involvement. I have three kind of guiding principles. One is I think every student in Knox County deserves access to a great school. All the students, and if you look at the data, and you've seen some of that, I'm sure, and heard some of it, and will continue as you move through this political season, there are some struggles in our school system. And frankly, I don't know that anybody would argue that those numbers are unacceptable. Third grade reading, why only 14% of ninth graders are proficient in math, right? That's a clear indicator of school dropout rates, is that math grade. And we have so many students that are not on grade level. All of that is a concern. And what we need to do is provide an opportunity, a great education for every student in Knox County. I've had the opportunity to be a part of the Forward Next Generation of Learning program that we're doing here in Knox County, and I look forward to kind of seeing how that plays out. But a number of opportunities related to career and technical education, and hope to have more involvement in the future. But the first one is that every student in Knox County deserves access to a great school. The second one is I think parents have the right to hold their schools accountable for the education their child receives. Again, I stand with families. In everything I've done, serving in youth ministry, I came alongside parents in education. We obviously weren't taking the place of parents, and even at Chick-fil-A. I want to be a safe place and a good place and a great environment for people to send their children to work and to learn about work and career and all that kind of thing. But the reality is I'm not taking the place of it. I think parents have a right to hold their schools and their school district and their school board accountable for the education their child receives. And I think that's an important thing. And then my final is, I think that Knox County residents as a whole deserve transparency. Transparency of how money's spent and transparency of what's taught in the school system. We have an unprecedented, I think somewhere around $170 million of federal funds coming in into our district over the next few years. Well, how that's spent ought to be very, very transparent, very, very clear. We have a massive budget, right? We have a $500,000 budget, and we occupy a large percentage of Knox County's budget. And how all of that is spent ought to be open and ought to be honest and ought to be clear. I think you ought to know what's being taught in your schools. You ought to have a voice into what's being taught in your schools. We need to get actionable data, really clear data to our families and to our parents so they can see where their children are at, where their school is, how their school is performing, and what they need to do to improve. I'll finish with this. We live in different times. Everybody's kind of talked about that and asked lots of questions around it. It's a totally different world than we would have thought we were to be in a number of years ago. And at the district level we make decisions, or at the county level we make decisions, but the people who really have to live that out are teachers and students, right? And I want to challenge you that every opportunity you have over the next few weeks, next few months, look for a way to encourage your teachers. You got students in the school system, send a note of encouragement. We know that they have some struggles. We know that they're having some difficulty. Obviously, they're dealing with this mask that teachers didn't ask for, students didn't ask for, and they're stuck with that at this time. And we need to look for all the opportunities and all the ways that we can to be an encouragement and a blessing and help to the teachers in Knox County. I'm a man of faith. I believe in prayer, and I believe prayer changes things. And I think we ought to pray about these things. I think we ought to pray about these mask mandates. I think we ought to pray about our teachers and our students and what they deal with in the school system. So again, I'm Steve Triplett, running for Knox County School Board, and I appreciate you voting on me through. So thank you. I would think so, yes. I would absolutely think that civics is something that needs to be taught in our school system. Yes, absolutely.
I have a question. And thank you for coming to speak tonight. I have heard that your children are in private school.
Yes.
And if they are in private school, why do you feel like you should be in an authority role in Knox County schools? I've had children in private school as well. Mine are actually all graduated now or quit school because of the way we're treated in Knox County. When you were administrator, did you work in public schools? And so I guess I'm just trying to figure out, if you don't trust the school system, why?
That's an absolute fair question. I have a son that's a sophomore in college, and then I have a daughter that is a junior in high school. She attends a Christian school, and my time as administrator was in a Christian school. And in the area in which we lived at the time, my children went with me to that Christian school, so they attended a Christian school all the way growing, all the way through my time as an administrator. And then when we moved back to Knox County, we just felt for consistency that we felt like that was the best decision for our kids. It was a faith-based decision and a consistency-based decision for us. As far as kind of the value that I feel like I can still bring, even though my kids are not in the system, really my motivation comes from the students that I work with at Chick-fil-A. Really is one of the strong motivating factors for bringing me into this point where I feel like I need to be involved in it. I've watched them and I've seen some of their struggles and kind of seen where they're at. I've got a young person that I wish his school system would have a better career and technical education program. And he came, he worked for us, he graduated high school, and he had absolutely no idea what he wanted to do. And so he just stalled. And I watched him just struggle thinking, Here's this, I remember standing on the front counter side, looking at him scooping fries, and the look on, you could tell he just was miserable, had no desire to and frankly, I mean, 90-95% of students who come through Chick-fil-A shouldn't be there long term, right? We're just a starting point. We're an opportunity for them to put something on a resume and grow beyond that. And I remember watching him work there, and I thought, there's got to be something better. So he and I talked a lot about, and our operator talked to him a lot about, what he wanted to do, and we encouraged college for him, or just trying to find something for him to do beyond just scooping fries at Chick-fil-A for the rest of his life. And he got into an apprenticeship program in auto mechanics and took off. I mean, just took off. Doing well. He's got a girl who's about ready to get married. He has a good job. I wish he'd have had a greater influence in that way when he was in high school. He would have come out of high school ready to go. He'd already know what he wanted to do and had an interest. And so it's those kind of young people that really have been my motivating factor in getting involved in school.
Were you educated in the public schools?
I was not. Nope. I was actually administrator of the schools that I graduated from. Actually, now this is kind of scary, but I had several teachers that I was an administrator. When I was an administrator, I had my history teacher that taught for me as an administrator was actually my history teacher in high school. A little scary. He had some things to say about me being an administrator, but I went to a Christian school.
Yes, sir. First, thank you for coming tonight. For your service in youth ministry. I spent 10 years of that myself. I don't mean this as any kind of an attack in any way. It's just a sincere question. According to Article 1, Section 2 of the state constitution, all citizens have the right for non-compliance with illegal laws or mandates or whatever. Would you be for or against the continual punishment for our students practicing that right?
Explain that question again. For
Right now, our students right now, if they choose not to wear a mask, are being segregated, denied an education, some even denied lunch for their participation in that state constitutionally protected right. Would you be for or against them peacefully objecting, peacefully protesting, and still being able to get their education?
I would certainly be for them, their right to peacefully protest and still get an education. I would absolutely be for that. The challenge, obviously, and Patty knows what to speak to, is at this point, I don't know, and they've tried and they're trying, to get that overturned in half a dozen different ways. I think, if you were watched that last meeting, they passed resolution after resolution after, trying to get some things done to get that removed. They're stuck in this moment with the judge and trying to get rid of that. But I would certainly be for their right to peacefully protest and still get an education.
Yes, there seem to be two problems in the public school system in Tennessee and across the nation. One is the mask mandates. That's gonna be solved one way or the other. The other is what's taught in public schools. The CRT, the 1619 Project, socialism, communism. I don't want it, of course, to happen. What is your opinion of the yes or no answer?
Yeah, I would absolutely be against those things. 100% against those things.
Will you work on the school board to see that don't happen?
Yeah, absolutely. It would be, and one of the challenges I think you have on a school board is watching some of the policies that come through to ensure that they don't open the door for it. I don't know that we're gonna have a policy, let's teach CRT.
There was one on the flag, gay flag in Knoxville public school. If they allow one teacher to have their particular flag and another teacher not to have another flag, like one of the, I was in West Knoxville, said, what if they had brought in a Christian school flag?
Sure.
They'd certainly got upset and over it. And Knox County is just begging for a multi-million-dollar class lawsuit to be filed against the school system for having, I talked to Greg, he said there's only 3 flags represented by the state of Tennessee. POW flag, state of Tennessee flag, and the American flag. And those should be the only flags allowed in the public school system. So if you're gonna find a teacher who wants to make some money, and you block that flag, they're gonna file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. My taxes are way too high now. I hate to see that you get another 5 years additional taxes put on you. I'd like to sue them myself because I'd like to get 25 years of my taxes back. So you either gotta fight with everything you got just to have the 3 flags. That's the only thing you can do about the state. flag or anything. So just, will you fight to put a bill out there to say only 3 flags allowed in the classroom and on the flagpole?
I would certainly be content with those being the only 3 flags, and I would certainly support anything that would.
Well, I've asked several people in the state, matter of fact, I've asked every member of the Senate, and every member of the House, that's 132 people I corresponded with. And a bunch of them are sponsoring such legislation to allow only 3 flags in the classroom, on the flagpole out there. But Knox County is begging for a multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
I appreciate